Welcome to the Mavens Do It Better podcast. And now, your host, Heather Newman.
Hello everyone, we are here for another episode of the Mavens Do It Better podcast, where we interview extraordinary experts who bring a light to our world. We are in the car, and I am here with two lovely ones that I've just spent 10 days with in a van all across South Africa. So Jethro and Tracy, say hello.
Hello. How are you guys?
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So we're on the way to the airport here in Johannesburg, and we're dropping Jethro off. Sadly,
Very.
Yes.
We're all crying if you can't hear that.
Yep. And we have had so we all got here around the 4th of April.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep. And got into town, and Tracy heads up much of the SharePoint Saturday action here in South Africa. So how many do you typically do here in South Africa?
The events?
Yeah.
We've got three main events. We've got SharePoint Saturday Durban, Cape Town, and Johannesburg. So it's me and Alistair and some other people as well that helps us organize. But and then we do these crazy little mini in-between ones. Of course, like this year we did East London and we did Port Elizabeth. So that's 5 in total at the moment of what I'd call SharePoint Saturdays. But some of them doesn't happen on Saturdays.
Right. The little ones were in the week in between.
That's it.
Absolutely. So, Jethro, have you ever been on a tour like this? Tell everybody what the tour is called and what we were doing.
So we actually did a tour. So we started in Johannesburg, where we did a SharePoint Saturday, and the Sunday after, we actually all got in a van, the 7 of us, really nicely and tightly together, and we drove all the way to Durban and spent in some amazing locations. And along the way, we did mini SharePoint Saturdays where we could interact with local businesses, education like colleges and universities, and really give them a full overview of the Microsoft 365 stack and get them up to speed with what Microsoft is doing that might help them benefit their career, their educational trajectory, whatever they need it for. And at the meantime, both Tracy, Al, and Warren showed us a really amazing country. So that's pretty much what we've been doing the last full week. So.
Wow. Have you ever been on a road trip like this before?
No, not really. And even if I was, just the beauty of the landscape and just the amazingness of the people on the bus would probably made it beyond compare anyway. So it was amazing.
And it's your first trip to South Africa, yeah? Or second?
Technically second, but the first one I was here for a conference. It was literally in and out. But this one is where I could really experience how beautiful this country and how amazing the people are. So yeah, first time, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Tracy, Tracy is amazing, first of all, and she's a terrific presenter. Jethro and Tracy are both Microsoft MVPs, and Jethro is, can we talk about that?
Totally.
Yeah. And about to take a job at Microsoft on the Microsoft Teams education team. Yep. Very exciting. So, Tracy, how long have you been an MVP?
3 years, I think. 3 years. Yeah, this will be the 4th year. So we had that funny cycle in between where they changed the years, but yeah, 3 cycles.
Yeah, absolutely. And you own a business.
I do. I've got a company called the Guid Stuff because that's what it is. And I think my business motto is to facilitate the evolution of human capabilities, and that really is. I'm by far Microsoft's biggest fan. I know that everyone in this car knows this and everyone in the bus knows it, but I am Microsoft's biggest fan because I've always believed that the product enables and empowers people. So that's definitely what I focus on is helping companies like adopt the technologies and help them enable and empower their employees, and that's what I get up for every day.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things that I think has been really powerful about our trip was, one, bringing Microsoft technology thoughts and all of that stuff to, people in South Africa, where you go every year, you see a lot of the same partners and customers, and then you have new people come. But also, I think, when you go on a bus trip like this, when you're in a van with people and driving, the first day was, an 8-hour trip, I believe. So, we got to, we're all in the industry together, and we were sharing ideas and talking about who does what and getting to know each other a little bit more deeper about how we do things. And I think that's really, something about our community that's really exciting, is that we all do help each other, and we all talk about, hey, I like what you did here, and I share that, and how do we continue to sort of cross-populate and cross-help each other when we're in something like this. I think you felt that too, Jethro, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes what is really difficult for us when we're in our own little bubble is we are our self-worst critics, right? When we look at something, it's like, well, are people like really happy with the stuff that I do? Yeah. Is the content good enough? But when we see other people, like when I see Tracy's blog or you, Heather's blog, is that I love what you guys do, but sometimes we have to vocalize or really put that in words towards each other. So being able to hear from each other like, hey, I really respect what you do, this is what I like, and all that stuff, suddenly is like, wow, we're really spirits that really think the same and really want to support each other. And it's really without any agenda or whatsoever. Is we're really providing a lot of feedback to each other, but also ideas, right? Sometimes it's like, hey, I'm struggling with this in my company, how would I approach that? Like, you've been in the same situation, like, how do you do that? And I think that advice and just being able to just be in a mirror for somebody is so rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, we talk about sometimes imposter theory and, and what you were talking about. It's like, I think it doesn't matter who you are, where you are in your career, your game, or whatever, whether you're famous, whether you're not, or whatever. We all work really hard to put things out into the universe, right? And I think there's always stage fright, and there's always a little bit of like, well, are people going to like this, and all of that kind of stuff. And I think it's really great to talk about that, because we're all human. We all have those things that, we have that voice in our head that tells us, oh, you suck, you're not smart enough, you're this, you're that, and it's the quieting of that voice, and the quieting of that voice by getting a reflection from somebody else that takes us to that next level, to where that next time we feel more confident about it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Tracy, I know that you do a lot of workshops. And I'm really excited. She and I have been talking a lot about this, and I'm really excited to see, what you're going to come out with and what you're bringing to the table. I mean, you're such a great speaker. You're so powerful, and you really get down to I love your direct, beautiful way of talking to people. No.
Also called aggressively and disruptive.
Hey,
but thank you, Heather, for the nice words. Direct.
Yes. But all that in a bag of chips. But I mean, I think, one of your passions is, I love your presentation that goes into PC literacy. And can we talk about that a little bit and why that's important?
Absolutely. So over the last couple of years, I realized that normal technical training, I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And I started doing some research. I'm going to call it, like, very lightly, the psychology behind, because I'm definitely not a qualified, I don't know, whatever. But I started reading up a lot about how we adapt, what we do, what happens when we train, when does training stick, when does it not stick, and something that I realized that even myself, and I'm pretty sure the industry, we're adding technical and very technical skills on top of foundations that doesn't exist, or that are just a little bit shaky. And if I, for example, had to think advanced SharePoint, back in the day, building sites and site collections, web parts, building solutions, those type of things, I could take someone, through a course, and they could build amazing solutions, but it just wouldn't stick. And I realized that the logic behind it wasn't there, that self-esteem wasn't there. So I started looking at what is the foundation before we get to that. And in our environment, we would know that as Windows or Office that we use every day, but just general IT systems and e-safety and being comfortable with online systems, etc. So I started speaking to companies about whether they felt that could add value, adding it to the training. And of course, every single company told me no, it wasn't necessary, because all their users were 100% PC literate. And I was just like, that's interesting. That's great. Obviously, South Africa doesn't have a problem, but I think everyone else does. But I then did some more research, and I came across very, very good articles and research that's been done that pretty much tells us that about 70% of the people that was tested in that survey was not what they consider PC literate. And of course, digital literacy is much bigger, so our problem is much bigger. The challenge we have is so much bigger. But we're pushing technologies at people where they're just not comfortable with a PC in front of them yet. And the challenge is that we only know what we know. So those people don't even realize that they have a problem. They think that that's just the way it's supposed to be. I'm not an IT user, I'm not supposed to be that good at stuff. And I'm like, nope, you are. You're supposed to be efficient. You're supposed to be effective. You're supposed to love what you do and get it done as quickly as possible and use all the tools that you have. So I've started baking that into my training in the last couple of years and started doing workshops that includes more than just the technical aspects or the product knowledge. And I can pretty much say that at this moment, if I had to do 5-day engagements with a client, I can tell you that about 3 days of those has got very little to do with the technology itself that I'm busy training. It's all about, and I'm not going to say soft skills, I call it power skills, but it's the power skills we need, like creativity and collaboration and curation of content and e-safety. It's focusing on those things and then adding the more technical knowledge when they're in a safe environment where they can learn. So it's kind of like prepping the environment, if that makes sense. And we've never really done that. We've never prepared the environments for training. We've just added stuff on top of it because we assume that everyone knows everything. And that's definitely something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love your presentations on that. And I think
Thanks,
I do. They're just, and y'all, it's sort of, I don't want to say simple, but it is sometimes. It's just those little things that will shave time off your day, that make you feel more confident, that get you to do something that you always do just that little bit faster.
Yeah.
That takes time,
But that's definitely a very important thing, and you'll remember from my slides that's something I use for Exco and C levels as well when I have engagements with companies, because we know that money is important, right? It's not that I can just walk through a door and say that I'm here to make your employees happy, because that's not always a bullet point
people
on a
don't always
strategy.
pay for that, right?
It's not part of my strategy to make happy people. I'm here to make money, right? And I started doing some crazy exercises around if I could just save a company 5 minutes a day. I mean, this is going to be in South African currency now, but I mean, I've written a blog. You can definitely go and work it out. But I worked out for a company of about 5,000 users. If I could just save them 5 minutes a day by being a little bit more effective or efficient, or love what they're doing, or use the tools that they already have without even spending money on new software or cloud technologies, it's I can't remember, about 26 million ZAR, which is a lot of money in a South African company. 26 million rand is a lot of money. And when you start pulling those figures...
You said million.
Yes. ZAR.
Right.
So that's a lot of money. 33 minutes a day, which is based on one of the research articles that I used as well. So it says that with basic PC literacy, so not even Office, basic PC literacy could add about 33 minutes of productive time to an employee's day. And I worked on 33 minutes, and I think it worked out to 169 million rands a year in a company. And that makes people sit up and go, what? Because it's the small things that messes us over. Mm-hmm. We tend to focus on the big things. I just want to do that onboarding solution, or I want to completely change the leave application. I'm like, but did you realize that if you used Flow and you helped every employee in the company to just write one flow that saves attachments to OneDrive or to a SharePoint folder, stuff that they get every day, you'd save them 5 to 33 minutes a day.
Right.
And you'd have that type of savings. And I don't think we always focus on the small things. We're so conditioned to just focus on those big wins.
Yeah.
And it's the small wins that makes the biggest difference across companies.
Yeah, agreed. Jethro, I know that you've worked in education before, and now you're about to go back. And what does it mean for Teams, to Microsoft Teams, that new product that's out that everybody is very excited about? What does it mean to go into education for that? Like, what does that look like?
Well, I think there's multiple layers to it, right? Well, first of all, I strongly believe that if we can enable students with the skill set that they need in the business, they're going to be more efficient, faster, be of more value to their employer. And kind of what Tracy was saying as well is the fact of making sure that they're immediately active and that they can do whatever they need to do, and saving that time again, and not necessarily get them into a stage of PC literacy or Office literacy. So it's more than just Teams. It's getting students involved in basic skill sets with computers, with Office, with Windows, with Teams. And Teams is important now, and of course an important part now, because it helps them to collaborate better and to be more efficient in their syllabus, and getting to a point where they have better grades and where they learn to collaborate and when they learn to be efficient and learn to be in a team, which is super important. Of course, for Microsoft is also a big part because when you have it in education, automatically they're going to start requesting that in the business as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not all completely for like non-profit opportunities, but it is a large part where it's just trying to make a better society as well.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And so you live in Seattle, Jethro,
yes.
But you are from
Belgium.
Woo! Yes. And so you made your way to Seattle by way of Belgium. Tell everybody about that a little bit.
Well, about 5. So I had my own company, and it was one of the ways that I was doing stuff for education. And about 5 years ago, I got an opportunity to work for a company called Bitsite as a program manager. And I was like, you know what? I'd like to do something different, not necessarily go away from cloud or education, but it was one of those opportunities that I felt that I couldn't really pass up on.
Yep.
And we went for my immigration visa.
Okay.
That got approved. I moved over here, sold everything I had in Belgium, restarted everything.
Uh-huh.
So that was very interesting going through the whole immigration process. Makes you kind of more in tune with what certain people have to go through to make a better living for themselves in the United States.
Yep.
Recently, I got my green card, and I was talking to people at Microsoft, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you just apply for this education job?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I might just do that." And so I applied for it, and within less than a week, went through 7-8 job interviews, and suddenly it was like, congratulations, you're hired.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. And you have a sailboat there in Seattle.
Well, actually, I have a motorboat.
Oh, is it a motorboat?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how to sail.
Okay.
Yeah. But
nice.
it's so Seattle is really, really fun. It's one of those areas where there's a lot of green. You have Lake Washington where you can spend your time on the water, but you drive for 40 minutes and you're in the mountains and you can ski and snowboard during the winter or hike during the summer. So it has a little bit of everything. It's really a cool area to be. Very open-minded as well. It's one of those areas where as an immigrant and sometimes as a different thinker, with different opinions, it's really open-minded. It allows you to be who you want to be, and it's definitely a part of the U.S. that I really appreciate.
Yeah, I do too. I lived there for 10 years and went to college there myself, so yeah, I completely agree. Seattle's a really beautiful city with really open, wonderful people, for sure.
Yeah.
And Tracy, how did you get started in IT?
I didn't. Don't tell anyone. I think, and I can definitely see it, if I just look at our little concentrated community we had on the bus and then the greater community as well, as being surrounded by like-minded people. But I always see the same characteristics or attributes in the people that's in the community, is that we're curious, we're self-learners, we want to help people, we want to figure things out, we want to build cool things. And I think that whatever jobs I ended up with in my life, which was not IT jobs, I always ended up in an IT portion of it because I love technology. I've always wanted to help people. So pretty much, I don't know, let me quickly add that up, about 12 or 13 years ago, I just got promoted into being the intranet manager at AFGRI. And I kind of said, so what's the intranet? And I said, I don't know, it's built on SharePoint. And I went like, what's SharePoint, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just how things happen. And a lot of us don't get promoted into these jobs. A lot of us end up there because we show up and we put our hands up and we say, let's do this, we'll figure it out. And that's pretty much how I got involved. I've always been a trainer at heart. I've had driving school. I had an art shop in school. I've always loved helping people and empowering people. So this was just perfect for me. The more I got involved in the IT side and having the ability to build cool things and help people was just it's the perfect combination.
Yeah. And we got to, so everyone, I'll put some of this stuff in the show notes and Tracy's blog and some stuff about teens and education, of course, from Jethro. And one of the things, so it's 365tour.co.zza, and that's the site for the two events that we did, and then we also have that hashtag out on social media. So we had a videographer, Adam King from Insight Video, who I can't even imagine. It's like 3,000 pictures and so much video.
I don't know. And we adore him. We want to adopt him.
Yeah, we really
want to adopt him.
We're going to stop him up with a biscuit for sure. He's so cute and sweet. And he came in from the UK after doing another show in Amsterdam, and he's off to something else after here. And Darrell Webster was in from New Zealand, and Darrell is brilliant and works for Adopt and Embrace, and he also does a lot regarding 365, and also just captured so much and made all these little videos, ended up teaching me how to use, a couple of the different tools, and we spent a lot of time doing that. It's like, here's how to use this on Instagram, and here's how to do that, and here's how to, and Tracy was showing how she makes her cool little pictures with the words on them and all of that, so that was really neat.
And then Jethro, of course, went and just floored us all by doing it much better with some apps downloaded and become the king of social media and mixable media.
Yes, absolutely. And, Warren Marks was on the trip with us, and Alistair Pugin, of course. And Warren's company, AvePoint, was a sponsor, and SkySync of the actual tour in the van. And a big thank you to them for making this happen.
Absolutely.
And that was awesome. And all of the sponsors for SharePoint Saturday Johannesburg and SharePoint Saturday Cape Town, thank you so much. It really, building community is about all the things. It's about showing up, and it's about speakers, and it's about the great money you give, and being there to talk to people about your technologies and everything. And so that was really wonderful. So a big thank you, I know, from all of us that were on this tour. And I think that the other thing, what was really fun is that with Alistair and Tracy and Warren, it was like, when you're in somebody else's country, one, you're getting to see it through your own eyes, but you get to see it through their eyes. And you also, like, we would drive by something, and Tracy was like, well, my dad built that bridge, and Alistair was like, that's where I got my tonsils out. And so that was really fun too. So how is that? This is your third van trip?
Yeah.
And how is that, like getting, like, seeing people's faces when they get to see your country? How is that?
It definitely kind of sparks the excitement you have, because we get so stuck in what we do every day and this crazy machine that we form part of, that we kind of don't allow ourselves those little special moments anymore to travel your own beautiful country. So firstly, for me, it's always great to just kind of be reminded of how beautiful this country is, and secondly, just to see that appreciation or just kind of like ignites that again. It's the same as a conference, and it's the same what community does, but this was just a community about our country, right?
Yes.
Just kind of being reminded and having that affirmation that this is pretty cool. Because of course, humans, we get used to things, and it becomes a given, right? And then you just, when you experience it with other people for their first time again, you just realize how fortunate we are and how incredible this country is.
Yeah, it's really, it's like I was telling all these guys about, my thoughts of Africa, and I'm pretty well traveled. I know I've seen pictures and all of that, but I had no idea that South Africa looks very similar to Sonoma County wine country.
Okay.
That was a surprise to me, and it was so, I was, you sort of, I don't know, you have this thing where it's like, there's lions in the savannah, and, and it's like, not all of Africa is like that.
Like that,
no. And the drive from Hermanus to Cape Town, I believe probably is one of the top 3 beautiful drives I've ever been on in my entire life, for sure. Like, that was absolutely gorgeous. Oh, speaking of driving, thank you, Alistair. Thank you, Warren, for all the amazing driving you did.
Yeah,
you both really rocked it. There's a couple of times when we went up on 2 wheels, Alistair Pugin, but we also.
I just want to put it out there. Thank you, guys, but they wouldn't let me drive the bus with them, so I'm just putting that out there.
Jethro, how about a moment that sticks out, or a few, or anything about the bus tour? I know there's a tough one, right?
Yeah, there's so many. I think I'm going to stick with the mini SharePoint Saturday we had at the university.
In East London?
Yeah.
Yeah.
University
of Fort Howard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, right, is that when you connect with them and you show them something they can use, that they will be able to use to advance their career, to advance their life, to something they can use to build up on top of, it's just they get so rewarding, and sometimes we forget about that, right? It's like the immediate reward feeling that you get. They feel that, hey, you're here, you're explaining this to us, we're so grateful for you to do that. But at the same time, what they don't realize is they even teach us a so much bigger lesson to, like, look what they're doing, look how they want to keep control of their lives and want to advance. And we sometimes take too much things for granted. And getting it back to a level set moment, let's call it,
sure.
that was intense for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, being someone who also has managed conferences for years and years and running SharePoint Saturday LA, I know how much work and time and energy goes into just one, not let alone 3, let alone a tour. So Tracy, lady, seriously, ridiculously amazing. I know how much work and time and energy you put into this for all of us. So thank you. Because it's sometimes that logistics piece of it doesn't get the thanks it deserves, having done that for a long time too. So you really, thank you for letting us be in your country and be with you and be at your homes, and Alistair being at your homes as well. And yeah, I feel like it's fun to get a chance to be with your friends and your colleagues in their homes, and you both are amazing people in the world that I'm so happy to be colleagues with and friends with, and having got a chance to go either leveled up or level deeper with you, whatever you want to call it in the gaming world. But yeah, and Tracy, there is another SharePoint Saturday coming up. Will you tell everybody about that too?
There is in Durban, and oh my word, can I not remember which date it is? I think it's this. There we go. Thank you, Heather, for remembering things. Yeah. But it is round about there. So Durban is still coming up. We had to kind of bring a gap in between it because we had other conferences happening. And I think we just needed the break as well. We normally do all 3 in a row. Right, so yeah, Durban is coming up as well. I definitely, if anyone's listening to this, please, if you're from that area, I would love to see your pretty face there, and for you to become part of the community and things.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's just always amazing for us. I mean, I think we're so fortunate in the community because it kind of feels like you know everyone and you know where everything is. But man, there's people stuck out there in little basements without windows who think they're struggling on their own. And they don't know how to make this happen, and they feel guilty, or they won't make it, or I don't know, imposter syndrome. Yeah. And I can promise you, if you form part of the community, it just changes all of that, just that support network that we have. So please join the conferences. I mean, not just SharePoint Saturdays, it doesn't matter, but join the conferences, join the community. I mean, like the tech community and the online forums and things, and just become part of it, because I can promise you, every bit of it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone, as usual, we will put all the ways you can follow these 2 lovely ones in the show notes. And I know that Tracy has got workshops that she's going to be coming out with and talking to people about that you can book her for in your business. I also know that and if you haven't read her blogs that she did, Office 365 and M365, a blog a day challenge that she did. And I'm saying it right here, right now. There's a book coming soon. Yes. From Tracy.
Yes.
In the next year.
Because when you say it happens. It's going to be sooner.
It's going to be sooner than that. So she will have a book out, and Jethro is going to continue to blog and put out great things on the tech forum.
Be an awesome Microsoft person.
Yes, and be a great advocate for all of us.
And we'll stalk him because he's a celebrity.
Absolutely, yeah. So, any last words, Jethro?
Everybody should come to South Africa and visit it and be blown your mind.
Awesome. How about you, Miss?
I think from me, always, words are so important to me, but there's this beautiful African word called Ubuntu, and Ubuntu says, I am who I am because of who we all are. Don't ever forget your role in the community, and that we all become amazing together, and that's what's really important for me, and that's what this week summed up has done for me.
Absolutely. And, it's the communities that you belong in. Locally, it's the communities that you belong in a larger world, and we all are one big global community that affects each other all the time.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so much for being on the show.
And thank you for being in our country and doing this with us.
I love it. It has been an inspirational, beautiful, beautiful trip that I will not forget, and I cannot wait to come back, and I haven't even left yet. So,
well, my house is always open to you guys.
Wonderful. Yay. All right. Well, folks, show notes will go up, transcripts will go up, and you can find the Mavens Do It Better podcast, all those places where you normally do, up on iTunes, on Spotify, up on Stitcher, and up on the MavensDoItBetter.com website. And here is to another beautiful day on this big blue spinning sphere. The original music on this podcast was created by Jesse Case.